Kia ora, Aotearoa, salam, namaste, sat sri akal. And a very special bulla to our friends from Fiji on the occasion of the 50th anniversary of their independence. I'm your host, Ajay Vasisht, with The Weekender on Sunday. Welcome to the show. In our head-to-head today, we were going to be talking to a lady who has come to the forefront with an alternative perspective and defied the odds to become a pretty strong voice. It was going to be Golriz Gehraman, but I have a feeling she is delayed and maybe not be able to make it today due to being on the election trail and stuck somewhere where we cannot get hold of her. So we might have to move on from that. Other than that, center stage in New Zealand and elsewhere this last week have been, it's all about the elections. Election 2020. This week just went, there was a poll that shows that Labour might come to within one seat of getting a majority to form a government on its own. And if it doesn't, it will need the Greens, who might end up being the necessary power breaker or power broker. You can make up your choice on whichever word you prefer. Plus, Fiji celebrated its 50th year of being independent, and a local slew of journalists came together to launch a new magazine to commemorate and cater to the Fijian community. We share where it can be found. And close to between 600 to 700,000 people will have voted by the time Monday rolls around in the New Zealand elections already. If the polls are right, we could be left with a less racially diverse parliament. Not so good for MMP or representation in general. We list the MPs facing an uncertain future. And are any Indian origin MPs also likely to be under the gun? We look at what the likely outcome will be on October 18. और शो के अंत में हमारे व्हाट्सएप कॉर्नर में मुस्कुराहट के लिए एक छोटी सी पहेली आपके साथ. After all, what's life without a smile? On to more interesting and serious fare. Let's go to our political editor and the editor of the Indian Weekender, Sandeep Singh. Welcome to the show, Weekender on Sunday, sir. I'm pretty good. 1 week out from the election. If I was on the election trail, I'd be, pretty busy, I guess. But we are following the people on the election trail, so we are busier, it seems. No doubt. Yes, so this poll, I think this is a very interesting set of numbers that have come out, and there's always that 3% plus minus, a margin of error. According to the poll, roughly 41 seats are likely to go to National, and probably close to 60 will end up with Labour, which means there'll be 1 seat shy of getting into government without the Greens' help. Where do you think it's headed? Is there likely to be other surprises like there were last year? Last election in 2017? True. Mm-hmm. Yes. 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 Mm-hmm. That's correct. Yes. 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 Yeah, they've been hovering at 6, 7, and then going up and down. Yes. 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 Mm-hmm. So my guess is, without making it too light of it, if you can get onto Dancing with the Stars, you can get your profile up. You can get up to 8 seats following with ACT. And my other feeling is that ACT has always been very openly a supporter of National. So, I mean, it makes sense when National has been unable to find its feet for the last so many months with all the changes. I think their support, they've thrown their support behind ACT as well. Whether they've thrown it in actual terms or just in ideological terms remains to be seen. But I think that was probably their best bet to get the extra seats because they have not budged. Even with the early polling of somewhere between 600 to 700,000 people having done polls, gone to the polls and cast their vote, the polls in the Colma Brunton poll, there was just no change to the Nationals' fortunes. Even dropping that 1%. So I think National are just not finding their mojo. It's just not going to happen for them. Would you say that? Yes. Mm-hmm. 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 Yes. 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 Mm-hmm. We've lost you, Sandeep ji. Sandeep ji, I have to ask you to wait for a second because I think we have lost the connection. We can see you, but we can't hear you. I don't know if you can hear us. Oh, you're back. You're back. That's my job. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. It's very interesting though. Why would you do that? Why would you do that so close to the election? I mean, that's real dissent, and it's she's angling for, getting points, brownie points for herself post the election because she's sure that maybe if National doesn't get in, then Judith's job is on the line as well. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Right. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm. Yes. Ponsonby. The rent a crowd. Yes. Mm-hmm. So one of these interesting scenarios is if the Greens were to slip below the 5% threshold, Labour would likely be able to govern alone because the wasted vote could be redistributed. It's a scenario. I'm not saying that's yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. Right. Right. Mm-hmm. Certainly. Certainly. Well, I think they've tried to keep the coalition partners very happy. You only have to look at what's been happening on the trail with Shane Jones and Winston Peters announcing that that $100 million package handout. So to the Marais, to the upkeep of the Marais, which is great. Why not? I mean, those places need to be built up. But I think there's also a bit of politics involved in there. Just by the way, in your opinion, what what has cost Mr. Peters his support so dearly? If the polls are to be believed, he's hovering between 1 and 2%. You can't write him off. We know that you can't write him off. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Yes. Yes. Yes, and I think the interesting part is those that have voted till now must be very certain of where they sit on that spectrum. Otherwise, they wouldn't have gone and voted because it could be a close one in terms of the MMP scenario. But the ones doing the early voting are probably driven by two things. One is probably, to some degree, the leader's sheen. That's Jacinda mania, and the other is, of course, nobody wants to go and vote in crowded voting centers. Hmm. Yes, that's going to win. Yes. Hmm. Yes. So there's a bit of it might not work for the party that I want to vote for, so why the hell bother? And that actually makes it worse on the night for that particular party. That's a very interesting thought process. In fact, I think that probably happens in most of the democracies around the world all the time. Um, another area that is, again, it's conjecture based on the same poll. If you look at the numbers in terms of the number of people who could end up in parliament, given those uh, the party percentages that we talked about earlier, there is a possibility that all 9 of New Zealand First MPs are going to be gone, right? And there is a possibility that, well, 13 current national MPs and Jamie Lee Ross also will be gone, possibly. Partly retirement, partly people not coming back. So that means with even a slightly different poll result, maybe more of your national MPs could leave, as could the entire Green Party caucus. I mean, or maybe it'll affect the bottom ranked MP like Golriz Ghahraman. That could also be affected. So in that scenario, if there's such a large exodus, and it's not really going to work on the fact that if you're up to 41, your life is safe, or you're after 41 in the National Party, you will not be able to come in because you have a scenario like Chris Luxon, who's I think 61st or 63rd on the list. He's probably going to get in because he's going to win that Botany seat more than likely. So, but even though it's not an exact science, there is every likelihood that certain people who are not, who are just on the list, could no longer be there if National only comes in with, say, 41, according to this last poll. And this would actually affect people who are within the Indian community as well as other list MPs from other parties. Should I stop him? संदीप जी रुको रुको रुको, आपकी आवाज ही नहीं आ रही. Show on है. Oh, is it going live? Oh, my producer is trying to tell me that your voice is not coming. It's coming in my ear, Mr. Producer. You're not getting it on the stream. So we're trying to fix it. I love technology, especially when it works. So what we might do, Sandeep ji, on the fly, we're going to change our stance a bit. Maybe I'll carry on with one story, and if our producer is able to fix the glitch in that meantime, we'll come back to you. Yes, because there's no point in putting you off. If people can hear you, the lips move but cannot hear you speak. So just from a perspective of moving to something that we are not involved with in talking to Mr. Singh, let's look at what else we could probably bring to you. There was a very interesting scenario where we wanted to congratulate all the people, our Kaiviti and our Fiji Indian friends, on the 50th anniversary of their independence. Congratulations and Bula to everybody. And I wanted to also mention that there will be or there has been actually, there's been published a magazine to commemorate this occasion. And a whole bunch of people from the Indian community, from the Fiji Indian community, who are writers. I'm trying to think of 2 or 3 names. Sam Thompson, Sri Krishnamurthy, and Sunil Maharaj, and among others. And yours truly also got a chance to contribute with one article. It's nothing about politics. It's nothing about writing anything about the Fijian politics and stuff like that. It's just my experiences on what I have seen culturally in my travels to Fiji over the last 30 years. It's a very interesting place. And, I think once the bubble opens up with the Pacific, it'll be a very interesting place that we want to go back to, just to get away from the lockdowns and the closed borders. Where can you find it? You can find this on FijiDynamics.inbox, I think is the thing. I will double check that for you and I'll come back to you as well. Now, in terms of what's happening with IPL, विराट कोहली ने खेली IPL 2020 की सबसे बड़ी पारी. RCB के लिए T20 क्रिकेट में बनाए 6,000 रन्स. RCB के कप्तान विराट कोहली का फॉर्म वापस आ चुका है और CSK के खिलाफ विराट की पारी ने इस बात को साबित भी कर दिया. विराट कोहली ने 90 रन्स नॉट आउट की पारी खेली और सिर्फ 10 रन से शतक बनाने में चूक गए. कोई बात नहीं, अगली बार. विराट की इस पारी के दम पर उनकी टीम ने CSK के खिलाफ 20 ओवर्स में 4 विकेट पर 169 रन बनाए और अपनी इस पारी के दम पर विराट कोहली ने कई नए रिकॉर्ड भी अपने नाम करवा ले. उसमें से एक तो आपको बता चुके हैं कि उन्होंने 6,000 रन का आंकड़ा जो है उसको अचीव कर लिया और ये आंकड़ा बनाने या रन बनाने वाले पहले बल्लेबाज बन गए हैं. अब तक विराट की तरह किसी भी खिलाड़ी ने अपनी टीम के लिए यह आंकड़ा नहीं छुआ. हालांकि इस मामले में दूसरे नंबर पर हैं सुरेश रैना, जिन्होंने CSK के लिए T20 क्रिकेट में कुल 5,369 रन बनाए हैं. सो ही इज अबाउट 350 ऑड रन बिहाइंड. एंड विराट के साथ जो दूसरा रिकॉर्ड एक कायम कर दिया विराट ने इसके साथ, वो है रोहित शर्मा व सुरेश रैना की बराबरी करी उन्होंने अर्धशतकों के मामले में. विराट कोहली ने भारतीय बल्लेबाज के तौर पर IPL में अपना 38th अर्धशतक लगाया और रोहित शर्मा व सुरेश रैना की बराबरी कर ली. रोहित शर्मा और सुरेश रैना को भी IPL में इतने ही अर्धशतक हैं और उसके अलावा इस मामले में दूसरे नंबर पे है 37 अर्धशतकों के साथ शिखर धवन और उसके बाद 36 50s यानी अर्धशतक बनाए हैं गौतम गंभीर ने. एंड व्हाट्स IPL विदाउट अ बिट ऑफ कंट्रोवर्सी? सुनील नारायण की गेंदबाजी के एक्शन के खिलाफ अंपायरों ने करी शिकायत, उन पर लगा सकते हैं प्रतिबंध। कैसे? आपको इस मैच के बारे में बताते हैं। इंडियन प्रीमियर लीग के 13वें सीजन में शनिवार को खेले गए दिन के पहले मुकाबले में कोलकाता नाइट राइडर्स ने किंग्स 11 पंजाब की टीम को एक बहुत ही रोमांचक कॉन्टेस्ट में 2 रन से हराया। मुकाबले में कोलकाता के स्पिनर सुनील नारायण ने आखिरी ओवर में गेंदबाजी करते हुए टीम को जीत दिलाई थी। कोलकाता की टीम ने शनिवार को बेहद रोमांचक मुकाबले में पंजाब को 2 रन से हराया। पहले बल्लेबाजी करते हुए कप्तान दिनेश कार्तिक ने 29 गेंदों पर 58 और शुभमन गिल ने 57 रन की बदौलत टीम के 6 विकेट पर 164 रन बना डाले थे। तो उसके बाद पंजाब की टीम 5 विकेट पर केवल 162 रन ही बना पाई। किंग्स के कप्तान केएल राहुल ने 58 गेंदों पर 74 रन बनाए, जबकि मयंक अग्रवाल ने 56 रन बनाकर अपना योगदान दिया। लेकिन इन दोनों की पारी जीत दिलाने के लिए काफी साबित नहीं हुई। लेकिन जो शिकायत की बात आई है वो ये है कि नरेन गेंदबाजी एक्शन को इंडियन प्रीमियर लीग के गेंदबाजी पॉलिसी के मुताबिक फील्ड अंपायर ने जाहिर किया है कि ये संदिग्ध है। उनकी गेंदबाजी के चेतावनी वाली लिस्ट में शामिल कर दिया गया है, लेकिन टूर्नामेंट में गेंदबाजी करने पर अभी फिलहाल कोई पाबंदी नहीं लगेगी। फिर भी सावधान रहना पड़ेगा सुनील नारायण को, क्योंकि नारायण पर लग सकता है प्रतिबंध। क्यों? अगर इसके बाद एक बार फिर उनकी कंप्लेंट आ जाएगी तो हो सकता है कि उन पे प्रतिबंध भी लगाया जा सके। दूसरी बार शिकायत करने जाने के बाद बीसीसीआई के गेंदबाजी एक्शन कमेटी इसकी जांच करेगी, और जब तक ये कमेटी नरेन को गेंदबाजी एक्शन के लिए क्लीन चिट नहीं देगी, हो सकता है कि वो टूर्नामेंट नहीं खेल पाएंगे। फिलहाल ही इज सेफ। It is only a matter of whether he gets one more complaint. Now, just checking with my producer if we have the voice back from our editor, Sandeep Singh ji. No. So I can actually hear him, but we are not going live to air with his voice. Okay. Sandeep ji, I don't know if you can see me. We may have to part ways, depending on whether you can see and hear me or not. Yes, I can't hear him either. I can hear you waving. I mean, I can see you waving, but I can't hear you. My producer is trying one more time. So instead, my producer is going to bring you a special video just for your pleasure, viewing pleasure. And meanwhile, Sandeep ji, if you can see me, thank you very much for joining us today. Sorry about the technical glitches and the fact that we couldn't get Golriz Gehraman on the show. It's one of those things right before the election. Seems like it might be a portent for what might happen on election as well. Everything is a little bit unpredictable. Carrying on, I will just check with my producer. So, bye Sandeep ji, by the way. I'm just checking with my producer what our likely scenario is going to be. We have something for you. If we have an issue with that as well, I can carry on with my next item. Actually, I should get you to sit next to me. Then we can have a chat about it. And there's no volume with that either. I guess it's a challenge trying to do it on the fly. I'm just checking if I'm actually able to be heard with my producer. Yes. So coming towards the end of the show, really, it's time for that little bit of a smile in our WhatsApp corner. Time just for a choti si paheli today. And while it's an oldie, it's been doing the rounds for a long time. It's still a goodie. And it is always about that kashmakash between men and women. So the question is, if a woman is always right and a man is always wrong, then if a man tells a woman she is right, is the man right or wrong? सर खुजाते रहें इस पहेली के बारे में और इलेक्शंस के रिजल्ट के बारे में भी। अक्टूबर 18 तक आप सब अपना ख्याल रखें, जहां भी हैं सेफ रहें, स्वस्थ रहें। आई एम योर होस्ट अजय वशिष्ठ for the weekend or on Sunday. I will see you again next Sunday in what is Abhi Bhi, the safest country दुनिया भर में. Kia ora, salam, namaste, sat sri akal. Till next time, do follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. I'll see you again same time next week on Weekend or on Sunday. Look after yourselves out there and get out and vote.